Let's talk about the Syracuse Orange.
Let's.
You know it, baby. Let's talk about the Syracuse Orange. Syracuse, a great 10-win season last year, 9-3 in the regular season. Big Holiday Bowl win over Washington State. Oh, it was beautiful. Kyle McCord was slinging it all over the place, shattered the ACC single season passing record, led the nation in passing. It all culminated with a season finale in the Dome against the Miami Hurricanes. Canes trying to go to the college football playoff and punch their ticket to the ACC championship. Syracuse, one of the top teams in the league, just trying to play spoiler and ruin the night for Miami. They do just that. Dude, I'll never forget. Down 21. You're getting ready to write. I'm getting ready to call the Virginia Tech game, and down 21-0. I was like, well, this was fun. This is a good year. I'm glad this is how this is going to end. Because I had circled that, and you had circled that since the beginning of the year. We were like, that.
And I told you they were going to win that game. I told you the whole season they were going to win that game.
And then you come back down 21-0. The Devin Grant scoop and score on the fumble. LaQuint Allen being a dog running out the clock. Kyle McCord literally out-dueling. Now, they both played fantastic, so I'm not taking anything away from Cam Ward, but statistically out-dueling Cam Ward in that game. McCord had 15 more yards and one more touchdown, whatever it was.
They went band for band.
Yeah, they went, but just awesome, epic, classic game. That's all over. That's done. That was last year because everybody's gone. You look at the offensive side of the football for Syracuse as far as what this team returns this year, and it's not much. 37% of offensive production is back this year. You got a quarterback battle. You feel good about it when you hear where these guys come from. You bring in Rickie Collins. He was one of the more sought-after guys out of the transfer portal at the quarterback position this past offseason. Former 4-star guy. They bring him in from LSU, and then they name him the starting quarterback after the spring. And all of a sudden, Steve Angeli from Notre Dame enters the portal after being told following the spring that he was going to be Notre Dame's third string. He enters the portal. They bring in Steve Angeli. Angeli's the only one that we have tape on. Rickie Collins threw attempted 5 passes at LSU. Angeli at least showed spurts, played in a big game against Penn State in the playoff, right? He's been in there and taken some snaps because Riley Leonard was banged up, and you got to see what Angeli could do a little bit there. Some people believe it'll be Angeli. Some people believe it'll be Rickie Collins. Fran Brown said it's a 50-50 battle throughout fall camp. We'll see how it plays out. You lost Trevor Pena, wide receiver. He goes to Penn State. Probably bolsters what looks like a national championship contending team in Happy Valley. And you lost a lot on defense. Most of it was the fact that there was a senior-laden team. You brought in Fadil Diggs for 1 year. You brought in Kyle McCord for 1 year. You brought in Jackson Meeks for 1 year. You had Aronde Gadsden around for 1 more year. Those guys are all going to have their shot, at the NFL. They're saying Aronde Gadsden's going to be the starting tight end maybe for the Los Angeles Chargers. You lay in the fact that a lot of this team's new, and on top of it, they have arguably, I'll say it's in the top 5 toughest schedules in the country.
It's insanity.
Yeah. It's a ruthless schedule for the Syracuse Orange this year. Tennessee to open it up in Atlanta, which, by the way, I'm so heartbroken that I'm probably not going to find a way to Atlanta because Virginia Tech and Tennessee are going to play back-to-back days against SEC opponents at Mercedes-Benz. I mean, when is that ever going to happen again? Probably never.
Literally never.
UConn, Colgate, those should be dubs. Then you go to Clemson. Then you host Duke. We just talked about how good Duke's going to be. Then you go to SMU. You play Pittsburgh at home. You go to Georgia Tech. You host North Carolina. You go to Miami.
It's insane.
Non-conference, you go to Notre Dame. And then you play Boston College to cap it off. Dude, what the heck?
It's insane.
Who did Fran Brown upset?
Somebody in the football heavens, Fran Brown was like, they were like, you know what? You should shower more often. Here's a schedule to humble you. You want to stink for the rest of this fall? Try winning against this schedule. But I mean, because winners do get washed. I mean, SU, listen, last year I was extremely skeptical because it was so much unknown. And then SU just comes out and they're like, nah, dude, Fran Brown can coach his butt off and he can make it work with these transfers. Like, SU had more success their first season with all their transfers than Colorado did in their first season. Now, granted, they were in literally the greatest year the Pac-12 has ever seen back in 2023, so I wanted to give it a little bit of a grain of salt. But that was a marquee win over Miami, and Syracuse had a really gritty comeback win against Virginia Tech. They had a great comeback win against Georgia Tech. They had a very good win against NC State. The Pitt game was a bit of a disaster for them, but listen, they went 10-3. You can't fault anything that happened to Syracuse last year. That was probably the best season they've had this century, you could argue. But the point is that Fran has proven he can make it work with these one-year rentals, with these transfers. Looking at what they have, I like their receiver room. Honestly, the room I kind of gravitate towards is their defensive back room. I think that the guys they still have, somehow Deuce Chestnut's still playing college football. They have some guys back there that are experienced that they did have last year. And at times they were susceptible to the big play last year. I think that will maybe not be the case this year. At least should be better now that they've got some more experience under their belt. This Demetrius Samuel kid, can you tell me about him? Because I think he could be one of the most electric freshmen that we have in the country.
A little bit of a Travis Hunter-esque vibe to him. Going to play two ways. I think he's going to play a lot more corner than receiver, just the stuff I've seen about camp and the stuff I've read. But just a freak athlete. Like, he's going to play. As a true freshman, he's going to play a lot.
Yeah, he can't not play, essentially.
And it's not just him too, dude. They brought in Jonte Cook, wide receiver from Texas. They've bolstered in the trenches. Like, growing up, Syracuse football looked different. They looked small, and then they'd play with the big boys and they would get thrown around. And no, Fran Brown does not, he's bringing in bodies that are 6'7", 380 pounds. You know what I mean? He's bringing in
the guys he had at Georgia.
Right. So it just looks different. It really does. It looks different, I think, is the best way to put it.
I agree. And he's bringing them not necessarily into a state of national prominence, but to a state of respect. And I think that is that's something that Syracuse has lacked for a really long time. Let's be honest. So I think my only question is, if by some grace of God, considering the schedule, Syracuse winds up a 9-win football team again, the same thing we talked about with Duke, does somebody pick up the phone and say, listen, college football is going in this direction, that all these transfers are coming into all these places and making instant impacts like we saw with Dion and now we're seeing with Fran. If the SEC comes calling, you don't think Fran will go back to the SEC? I know he said he wants to stay forever, but a lot of people say a lot of things.
I know. It keeps me up at night, buddy.
It's a real possibility.
But the only argument I have to that, and I don't know if there's validity to it, I hear you. Has Fran done anything like anybody else does?
Yeah, he's a very unique character.
So it wouldn't shock you quite the same if he stayed true. I don't know.
I mean,
Syracuse would have to compensate him handsomely.
Yes. And I just I've kind of learned, we had a situation like this play out at Virginia Tech, right? Where, we saw it twice. Once right before we got there and then once while we were there. As good as a thing is going in a place that's smaller, when the big dogs come calling, sometimes you got to pick up the phone. Yeah. And it's all speculative because I don't think Syracuse will have the season they had last year. But if somebody were to pick up the phone, it would be hard to say no. So we'll see.
I agree with you. Over under win total for Syracuse set at 5.5. I have them going 7-5. And I've read some stuff like Phil Steele, big name in the college football industry. He thinks that's one of the better bargains in the betting world for over-under win totals because he sees Syracuse getting that 6-7 win mark. I think 6-6, if you go like games you should win, games you should lose, 6-6 is what it looks like.
I agree.
Right? I think you pull one upset. I just think Fran and and I know that's hard. It's the Fran effect, man. It's the Fran effect. I think you pull off an upset, and I think the upset you pull off is the Tennessee game because they have question marks. Like this isn't Nico Iamaleava's show.
No.
And learn how to say his name because that's like job number one if you're gonna like be in this industry is say names. Correct. Nico Iamaleava.
You nailed it.
Thanks, buddy. We take pride in that. We've been taught.
Yes,
right?
We do.
But this isn't the Nico Iamaleava show, right? Mm-hmm. They have question marks at quarterback. They're going to be great on defense. They're going to be able to run the ball. I get that. Josh Heupel's a phenomenal coach. They're going to figure it out. When can you catch people at their most vulnerable? Week 1, when there's no tape. And like, they don't know what to expect either. Like respectfully, like there's no tape on Rickie Collins or not much on Steve Angeli for that matter. Like,
yeah, for me, it's a matter of like, does talent balance it out?
Sure. I'm sure talent does balance it out, but I'm just saying you look at this schedule. If there's any opportunity to get one and get one of those upsets, I think week 1 is the most likely place, right?
Yeah.
It's going to be like a Tennessee home game, but like, okay, also the other point to that is like they're going to Notre Dame. They're going to Miami. They're going to Clemson. They're going to Georgia Tech. This is a neutral site. Is there going to be a lot more Tennessee fans than Syracuse fans? Yes.
Absolutely.
But it's neutral.
That's why I think if you put a gun to my head and ask me to pick an upset, it would be at Miami. Like it's they beat Miami last year, albeit under extremely different circumstances. It's not a difficult place to play. We don't know what Miami is going to look like at that point in the season. I think Tennessee is, I don't know what the line is on that game right now. It's probably in the double digits. If it's not, it's maybe closer to 8 or 9.
Look it up.
But I would definitely hesitate to say that is where I would pick the upset. Although the point of there being so much unknown on both sides for both programs is definitely one that holds a lot of merit because this was a very, no pun intended, rocky offseason for Tennessee. So we don't know what week 1 could be like. Is there a chance Tennessee is like Florida State was last year? Probably not, but anything is possible.
What do you think the narrative is on Cuse if they beat Tennessee week 1? Unfortunately, you play Clemson 2 weeks later, so the hype evaporates.
It's probably like, can you do it again? Like, can you, because you
14 and a half.
Yeah, that's a pretty big number. Like, can you do it again? Can you beat a Miami? Can you somehow beat a Clemson? Maybe can you beat a Georgia Tech? Like, I think that is maybe where you try to punch because Tennessee's not on the level of Miami, Notre Dame, or Clemson, in my opinion. So maybe it's like, can you beat Georgia Tech? Can you somehow get back to the 9-win mark? Because then it's like, okay, we thought the schedule was very tough, but if you can make your way, you can make it work with it, then we'll see. But honestly, the narrative might be, what program is going after Fran Brown in 2 months?
Fair.